Good morning. Hey, it's good to see everybody this morning. And I am gonna wish y'all a very good goose morning because apparently in Thailand that's how they tell people good morning is goose morning. And I think that was just invented by Miss Rebecca. And anyways, hey, it's good to see everybody here this morning. And Miss Layla, it's good to see you watching this morning. I'm glad that you're feeling better. And oops, let me turn my volume down. So I've got my phone on here. There we go. All right. And hey, it's good to see, of course, the Looper family with us. Miss Lynn Painter, good to see you. And brother, Miss Duba, I'm glad you're able to watch this morning. And let me see. Looks like Miss Debbie is watching. And Miss Maddie, good to see you. Love the two-part put in there. Good morning. And anyways, it's good to see everybody. Hey, I want to thank each of y'all that have this past week that have given me notes of encouragement, texts of encouragement, and things. And it does mean a lot to me. And someone asked me yesterday and said, I hope you don't think that that's silly or whatever. It's not silly. And it truly encourages my heart. My wife could tell you that it's real blessing. And I appreciate even some of y'all this morning. We had our mail come in this morning, and there were notes in the mail of encouragement, and I do appreciate that very much. And it is a huge help. It's a huge help whenever you don't get to see people to still have that interaction with folks through those notes of encouragement. So I appreciate that. And so, hey, I wanted to share. Somebody shared with me here. It's good to see Brother Ham. Good to see Preacher Miss Painter from Thailand with us. And somebody shared this with me yesterday, and I thought it was funny. What are the problems of having church at home? Number one, everyone sings off key. Number two, someone is always in your seat. And number three, no one dresses up. So those are the three problems with having church at home. So if that's been your problems these last couple of weeks, you might want to find a new church. No, I'm just kidding. Don't find a new church. But anyways, so hey, I'm glad for those of you that are bearing with kind of doing church at home right now. And we're going to kind of stick with the course doing the live streaming things. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for joining us as you have been doing so over the last several weeks on the live stream. And I'm just the only thing that drives me paranoid a little bit as a pastor is that someone's coming in the beginning of the service, checking in, and then boom, they're gone. So hey, if that's you, start coming to church to stay. And anyways, I looked at a couple of the analytics behind some of our sermon videos, and we have this huge spike in the beginning of the service, and it gradually tapers off. So hey, if you're one of the people that's kind of leaving right through there, stay for the whole thing. And so I'm going to have Brother Looper start watching the viewers and make sure that that number of people viewing live is not going down in the middle of the service. So anyways, listen, I appreciate each and every one of you. I want you to know that. Listen, a few things to pray for. First of all, be praying for the David Smith family and their twins. The twins are still in NICU. And Paisley, the little girl, she's supposed to be there, they said, for about a month. And so be keeping her in prayer, if you would. And then Paxton, he's not doing as well as Paisley's doing, but at this point, he's doing as well as can be expected. And they're predicting that he'll probably be in NICU for probably 2 months. And David Smith is my brother-in-law. That's my wife's brother and his wife, Katie Joe. They also are missionaries going to be going to Africa. They were literally just getting their deputation underway starting in January here. And she's been in the hospital since January with these children because of complications in the pregnancy. Keep them in prayer. Ask the Lord to kind of strengthen them and meet their needs, as well as touching and healing little Paisley and little Paxton. And so Paisley and Paxton Smith are their names, and keep them in prayer if you would. Also, keep our missionaries in prayer. And I just sent each month, our church sends an update to the missionaries. We ask the missionaries to send an update to the church. And in return, as the pastor, I send an update to our missionaries, just kind of let them know how things have gone here at the church this month. And keep them in prayer. I know a lot of missionaries are concerned about whether or not, with churches not being able to get together, people are not sometimes able to give their missions giving like they normally would. So at this time, there's a lot of concern among missionaries, and rightfully so, that missions giving in churches will go down and that their support will not come through as it needs to be. And I promise you this, there would be nothing scarier than being in a foreign land and under these conditions during this pandemic and not to get the support that you need. So I want to thank each of y'all, members of our church. You've been giving faithfully these last several weeks, and I don't feel like that we're going to be in any danger of not being able to support our missionaries. But pray for the missionaries overall, that they would be able to get the support that they need, that churches around the country that support missionaries would have the missions giving coming that they need to have, and to keep them in prayer. Then the third thing you need to pray for is pray and ask the Lord to just kind of keep his hand upon our city, upon the health of our city, of course, upon the economy of our city during this time, and thirdly, upon the safety of our city. And I've noticed these last couple of weeks that there's been an uptick in crime in our city. So pray that God would keep us safe, and not only our city, but also our state. Pray that the Lord would be with us. And listen, now is a good time to be making sure you're taking good safety measures at home. Hopefully, you're already doing this, but it's probably good to lock your doors. And I read a report this last week that a larger amount of home invasions are taking place during the day time at this point because they feel like people will be gone at work. Now, I don't know if that's during this pandemic or that's just in this day and age. But anyways, it's good to lock your doors and make sure you're being safe. Be smart. Don't panic. There's no need to panic or go paranoid, but make sure you're being safe. Keep these things in prayer for, of course, the David Smith family and their children that are in NICU, the missionaries that are both overseas and on deputation, and then that God would keep his hand upon our city, our state, with our health, our economy, and our safety. Hey, this morning I want to share a scripture verse with you. Psalms chapter number 105, verses 4-5. It says, "Seek the Lord and his strength, seek his face, remember his marvelous works that he hath done, his wonders, and the judgments of his mouth." Let me just split second here. There we go. Psalms 104, verses 4-5. I know it sounds like an old drum that kind of keeps getting beat, but seek the Lord. Seek his strength. Look at the words in that verse there. Seek the Lord and his strength. Seek his face forevermore. Remember his marvelous works. One thing that I love as a pastor is people come and they'll tell me what they've seen God do in their life. And always remember this, at this time, though our ability may be kind of limited, God's ability is not limited at all. Right now, I'm thinking back to this past week and two different situations with two of the men in our church that they came to me and said, "Pastor, let me tell you about how I saw God's hand move on my behalf this week." God's hand's still moving. God is still doing great things. He just needs us to believe that he can. The Bible says, "Ye have not because ye ask not." Seek the Lord's face. Seek his strength. Seek him evermore. Be sure to remember what great things that God has done for you and for your family. The statement that I wrote down last week that really has been a statement that's come to mind often. And if you get the text messages and get the emails, you'll get this statement in the things that are sent out today. But our ability may be lacking, but God's ability never lacks. That's a great thought. That though we kind of right now feel like, and even as a church and in our individual lives, we kind of feel like our hands are tied, but God's hands are never tied. Our ability seems to be lacking, but God is never lacking ability. The Lord will give his strength. He gives his strength to those who seek him. So seek the Lord. Seek the Lord. And listen, hey, we're going to meet back tomorrow again for Coffee with Pastor at 9:30. And I appreciate also, I'm going to give a quick shout out to those of you that have said, hey, Pastor, I work. I can't watch the live stream, but I go back and watch it later in the day. And so those of you that's what you're doing today, I appreciate it. And thank you. I've had several people text me this week and say, hey, we love the Coffee with Pastor. And we don't get to watch it during the time, but we come and watch it later in the day. And so for those of you that do that, I appreciate it. Listen, we're going to go ahead and pray, and then we're going to be signing off for today. Let's go ahead and pray. Dear Lord, I thank you for today. Thank you for this opportunity that we have, dear Lord, to kind of get together. Some of the folks from the church, dear Lord, getting together on the live stream this morning for this broadcast. I pray, dear Lord, that you would indeed put your hand upon our church, meet our needs. Individually, dear Lord, with each family, meet our needs. Dear Lord, I pray that you would be right now with David Smith and Katie Joe. Dear Lord, put your hand upon them. Be with Paisley and Paxton, dear Lord, as they're in the hospital, they're in the NICU. Put your hand upon them, dear Lord, and all that they are going through right now. Dear Lord, I pray that you be with our missionaries. I pray